On the surface, South Africa's new government of national unity, or the GNU, looks like a political masterstroke. It was born out of pure necessity after the May 2024 election, when for the first time since the dawn of democracy, the African National Congress lost its majority. This forced the ANC into a shocking partnership with its fiercest political rival, the Democratic Alliance. It was sold as a new beginning, a sign that the nation's democracy was finally maturing. But if you scratch beneath the surface, past the official handshakes and photo ops, you'll find a government that's quietly at war with itself. This isn't just a simple policy disagreement. It's a collision between two political parties with completely different DNA. And it's creating some serious friction. So let's break down where the fault lines are, how this infighting is playing out, and what it all means for South Africa's future. From day one, this was what the DA leader, John Steenhuisen, perfectly described as a marriage of inconvenience. It wasn't built on a shared dream for the country, but on cold, hard electoral math. The ANC couldn't govern alone, and the DA saw a golden opportunity to get into national government for the very first time, hoping it could finally start to shape policy and tackle corruption from the inside. But here's the problem. These are two parties that have spent the last 30 years telling voters why the other one is wrong. On one side, you have the ANC, a party born from a liberation struggle that believes a strong state is essential to fixing the legacies of apartheid. On the other, you have the DA, a liberal party that puts its faith in free market solutions and a non-racial approach to policy. The tensions were obvious from the get-go, with the leaks and arguments over who would get which cabinet positions nearly blowing up the deal before it was even signed. Now, with ministers and their deputies from rival parties forced to share departments, those ideological divides are no longer just talk, they are a daily reality. The government is holding together for now, but these deep-seated differences are putting it under constant strain. So where are we seeing this friction the most? It's right at the heart of the country's economic and social policies. The two parties have fundamentally clashing ideas on how to solve South Africa's biggest crisis: crippling inequality, mass unemployment, and widespread poverty. Take black economic empowerment, or BEE. The ANC sees this race-based policies as non-negotiable for economic justice. The DA, however, has been arguing for years that BEE just fuels corruption and doesn't work, and that it should be scrapped. It's the same story with the controversial National Health Insurance (NHI) plan and the Expropriation Act. They reveal a massive gap between the two on how big of a role the state should play in people's lives. These aren't just minor squabbles. They represent a fundamental battle over which direction should South Africa be heading. A recent flashpoint was the national budget. The DA publicly voted against a proposed tax increase, creating a massive crack in the unity government and forcing the ANC to scramble for votes from smaller parties. A little policy conflict is normal in any coalition, but these disputes show a total lack of a shared vision, sparking fears of complete policy paralysis. Beyond the policy debates, this is really a story about power and trust. The ANC is in unfamiliar territory, no longer able to call all the shots, and it's clearly uncomfortable. At the same time, the DA is fighting to prove it isn't just a junior partner there to rubber stamp the ANC's agenda. This struggle has led to some very public spats and accusations of bad faith. The DA has complained it's not being properly consulted, with Steenhuisen warning that his party refuses to be reduced to spectators. The ANC, in turn, is getting fed up with a partner that often still acts like an opposition party, but from inside the government. This deep mistrust makes any kind of coherent long-term planning incredibly difficult. While the new government has brought a bit of stability and calmed investors, these constant internal battles threaten to undo that progress. The public is left watching a government that seems to be pulling into two different directions at once. South Africa's government of national unity is a fascinating and necessary experiment, but nobody should assume it's going to succeed. For now, it's holding together. But that deep ideological canyon between the ANC and the DA creates a constant grinding friction that is slowing down decisions and eroding trust. The arrangement has bought the country some time and stability, but the big question remains: can these two historical rivals actually find enough common ground to govern together effectively? Or is their partnership destined to be a long, drawn-out struggle for power? The next major test will be the local government elections, scheduled for sometime between late 2026 and early 2027, which will most certainly turn up the heat. The future of this government and really the country depends on whether this marriage of inconvenience can start working for the nation, not just for the parties themselves.